What is going on, guys? We've got the Mark 5 Golf on the ramp again. A few of you actually asked about sill repairs, so I thought rather than make a little 60-second short, which you can't get too much in, I'd make a little video, 10 minutes. We'll see what's going on with the sill repair. We've got 2 brake hoses, they're easy enough, but the sill repair, I thought I'd give you a quick rundown. I'm going to get the inner wheel arch liner out, and that way we can get right behind it when I've got all the screws out. Yeah? Hello, cheeky. Anyway, I know a lot of you are waiting for the T5 transporter. I am too, but I want to get this project wrapped up before we start the next one. When you've got a lot of projects, it's easy to start one, start another, then it gets a bit chaotic. So we're going to finish this one today, and then we're getting straight on with the T5 transporter. I've ordered an engine, it's on its way. We're going to pull that one out, see what's wrong with it, pull the head off, pull the water pump out, and find why it's pressurising. Anyway, let's get you in here to have a look, because we have got a soft sill. Look, we've only got a small bit. I'm looking forward to peeling that off and seeing how far it goes. And with rust repair, you can never really quote an exact price, even though it's my car. If a customer came in, asked for a quote, it's hard to do a quote on welding an exact price, because this might only be a small hole here, but it might grow. It is solid, but it might grow a lot bigger, so then obviously you need to quote accordingly. First thing I can see, and this is normally the reason why rust starts, it gets up in the wheel arch. We've got wet mud sat in there. Luckily this is all solid. Don't know why that cap's not there or what's going on. Is it stuck on the back here? No. Did it fall out on the floor? No. Well, I'll have to find one to stick in there because we don't want any moisture getting in there. Anyway, so I'm going to clean this off. I've got another screw in there. I'm going to get that taken off, and then the rust starts from behind and then works its way round. Obviously we can't just weld a piece in there, paint over it and expect it to be alright. Rust actually starts from behind, so we need to clean and anti-rust right from behind. That way it's not going to creep back round and get under the paint again. Anyway, let's peel this off and see what's going on. Oh, I can see some fresh metal there, which is good. Oh, hello, cheeky. So it isn't looking too bad, and we can already see fresh metal here. Some of the Mark 5 Golfs blow out the whole way, and some of them don't. I don't know if some of the shells are made in a different place, in a warmer country, different metal. I don't know. We have got a lot of dirt in here, and I take it that's been falling down in there. Might have even been going up in that hole, but we've got no dirt around it, so I don't know. And I really don't know why that's not there. Wonder if it's tucked behind here or something. Anyway, I'm going to get this off. I'm going to get the flat disc on the grinder, and I'm going to grind this until we've got flat metal. Let's have a butcher's. So, what I need to do is, I've cleaned all the paint off and we can see it's solid metal all the way around. Absolutely solid, which is good. But it has just gone into the end. And this bit, wheel arch liner would go to, well, that is really soft. That's going to have to come off. While you're in here, you need to do it all. There's no point just sticking a patch over that now, because you don't want it to come through again. And we're going to sell the cuts. We want it to be right for the new owner. And that bit, unfortunately, has to come off. So I'm going to have to make it in a couple of pieces. When it actually comes off, oh yeah, we'll cut this open along here, about 10mm, 20mm further than the rust, because even though it's shiny here, there's probably a little bit of corrosion on the back, so we're going to go a little bit further than the actual rust. I'm going to make a little piece that sits on the bottom here that comes round here, and then we've got a plate that will come down the front and then just up the back, and we're going to cut it in so it sits flush, and yeah, that way it looks a lot prettier. I have ever so slightly feathered out my stone chip. Stone chip can be 3-4mm thick, so unless you're going to filler right over the top, and you don't want to be loading up with filler. You're going to have a doorstep between the factory stone chip and your stone chip. So I've ever so slightly just feathered out the stone chip. That will make it easier that when I stone chip up to it, it will look like less. It will look less obvious. Anyway, I'm going to quickly cut this out with the grinder. We'll have another look. Have you ever put a pair of these safety yellow goggles on? Oh my god. So it's weather's a bit overcast outside. It's not very nice. Put a pair of these yellow glasses on, and honestly, it's like the sun is bursting through. Oh yeah, definitely lifts the mood. Anyway, let's cut this out. The straighter it is, the easier it is to make the new panel sit in. And if you're doing bodywork near glass, the sparks from grinding and cutting will mark your glass. So I'm going to make sure my sparks are always shooting down or to the back. If you had your grinder upside down and the sparks were shooting up, you'd probably mark your glass and you can't get the marks out. That doesn't look too bad. And what you noticed here, there is an overlap of metal. See, there's a skin and there's another skin on the outside. So I just cut it round the outside and peeled that off there. That, oh yeah, that is solid. So first thing I like to do, apart from cutting your finger on the metal, is get in there and clean as far out as you can, because not only is this rust on the back of here, look, it's right on the back there, and it is literally right up to our cut line. So that means it is a bit rusty on there. Oh, it feels smooth right there. So I'm going to clean all that out, and then I'm going to anti-rust it, and that way rust isn't going to carry on behind the panel. Yeah. It is evening time. Fast forward 8.5 hours. I had to shoot out and do some other stuff. Back at it. I did make the plates earlier. We have got a little one that goes on the end. Not that way. It has been 8.5 hours. That little one is the end piece for in there. Oh yeah. And then this bent up one. I probably spent about 40 minutes making the plates. I wanted them to fit really well. And that one fits in there like so. I will trim the end down ever so slightly. I cleaned all the area up, got in there with a die grinder, got in there with a belt sander, picked any sealer off, cleaned any fluffy bits off, and then I have gone over it. Let me show you. I have gone over it with not just any primer. We have got U-Pol Weld Zinc Rich Primer, and that just stops any rust, because if you can imagine, if we welded those straight in here, we're then going to have bare metal, especially there and all around here, that's going to rust straight away. So it's a little bit of weld through primer. Sometimes, even though it's weld through primer, it says it on the tin, it isn't. Well, it is, but it ends up spitting a little bit. It's not as good as bare metal, but I'd rather it be protected and just grind the welds down a little bit. I'm going to weld this one in first, and then I'll spot weld the others in. I'll weld this in, and then we'll get the camera back and I'll show you a demonstration of welding that in slowly, because if you weld it too fast, that's going to warp out of shape, then you're in a world of pain. All welded in. I welded in the corner, and as you can see it splatters a little bit with the Weld Zinc primer, but it's okay, that's still hot. Welded along there, taking my time. Then we've come along here on the outside, and then I've got a little piece because I cut a triangle out and then bent it up to get the curve. That's all in there. Going to give that 5 minutes to go off, and then we're going to get the big plate in there and we'll have a demonstration. Got it tacked in place, and I spent literally maybe 20-30 seconds getting the plate absolutely right. You want to have a gap. This is when doing any metal repair, whether you're putting a new arch in, whether you're putting a new bit of sill in, you want to have a small gap around your new panel and the old panel. Literally, the smaller the better, but a gap. And that leaves room for expansion, because when you weld, all the metal expands. and if you keep going too much, it will literally pull it and distort it out of place. You can end up creating either a high spot or a baggy point where it pops in, pops out. That's in there solid, we're happy with that, and I'm just tweaking it with a small screwdriver. I want it super flat. You can get a magnet to hold it on there nice and solid and square and flush. I'm just going round making sure that it's nice and flat. Look, it's not the end of the world if you have got a little step, but when you've been doing it a little while, the longer you take to do this, the easier it is, because when we go to grind this off, I can get that completely smooth and I wouldn't need to use any filler. I am going to use a small skim just to raise it up a little bit to be the same height as this stone chip. But anyway, get it nice and flat. You can run your finger backwards and forwards. And I need to pull this bit under after I've done a few more spot welds. So let me get this done. We'll roll a time lapse on this. That is it welded in, and look, it doesn't look too pretty, but that is what it is. Unfortunately, sometimes spot welds, they don't look as pretty. It did start to spit around here where the primer was, but up the top it burnt in nicely. We're going to grind it down, and when grinding it down you need to take time too, because if you overheat the panel grinding it down you can warp it out of shape. Yeah, happy with that. I did also roll the edge around. That's how it was on factory. We need to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to get in there, just buzz these off. It doesn't matter too much in there, but I want them to look a bit prettier, so I'm going to grind them down a bit. Then I'm going to grind these down. I did weld all on the inside. Oh yeah. And yeah, I'll grind it down. We'll see what it looks like. And that is it ground down. As you can see, it's nice and smooth here, and that is because I spent the extra time making sure the two panels were flat. If you do some welding at home and your panels look a little bit like this, you know, with a little gap, let me get the focus. If yours look a little bit like that, it's totally fine. We burnt a couple of little holes here, so I spotted it in, and there's a bit of a step here. When I use the screwdriver, it just ever so slightly bent under, but it's totally fine. That we're happy with. I'm going to put some of that zinc primer on it, a very light coat, because bare metal, even though we're going to put some filler on it, I want to seal it up with a bit of primer first. So I'm going to put a little dusting of zinc primer in, then I'm going to put some filler on. Just a little skim. Primer's all dry, I only put a dusting on there. And look, if yours doesn't look like this, it looks more like this, or we're going to apply some filler now. If your filler doesn't look like this, don't worry, it comes with practice. And believe you me, I have made a lot of mess in my time. Obviously the earlier years, and you just pick it up. You pick up little tips and tricks on how to do it. I'm just lightly skimming up to the stone chip and putting filler in is an artwork, and I tell you, I am no pro at putting filler in. There's a guy that works down the road where I use his spray booth bumper to bumper, and his filler looks like you could just paint straight over it. It is that good. And do you know what he done before he done bodywork? He was a cake maker. Maybe icing those cakes gave him the skill, I don't know, but honestly it's the best filler you've ever seen. And if you want to know a bit more about bodywork, filler work, I am giving the T5 a full repaint. So you will get to see a lot more, and I'll explain a bit more in depth. Now with filler, your first one never looks as good. It's your second skim that really looks good. Not as easy to do with this ramp leg right in my ear, but hey ho. And it's not the nicest of angles. but it is what it is. And that is not very pretty filler. So if there's any real bodywork guys on the channel, cut me some slack. 10 o'clock at night and I'm upside down under a sill. But it is about getting your filler in. You don't want to work it too much either. You want to get it in quick. That's why practice pays off. Yeah, I'm not overly happy with that, but I'm not going to cut it out. I'm not going to do some pretty editing skills. That is that. Just going to go around the edge with my finger here. Finger spreader, isn't it? Let this go off tonight. I'm going to carefully block that down. You probably could just use a sander, excuse me, but we're going to block it down. And look, we've got 1, 2, 3 lines of stone chip here. I'll take it, there's 3 layers, 2 layers, 1 layer. I don't know how I'm going to recreate that. Maybe tape, shirts, tape, stone chip. Anyway, it's raining. It's late. We'll see you in the morning, bright and early. It is the following day. It's just gone 9 o'clock. Rub the filler down. I use my block very carefully. We use 120, then 180, and then 240, and we've just tickled it. I've been extra careful not to go too far up there. We do not want to go past that line. That's the original stone chip line. We do not want to go past there. I've then keyed it up with some red Scotch pad, and I'm just going to put some primer on it. Then I'm going to put some stone chip on it. And what I'm going to do, because there's an extra line there, I'm going to tape along there, cover this up, put a line of stone chip, peel that tape off, then tape along there, then put a coat of stone chip along these two, then peel that tape off and tape along there, stone chip, and we should get the staggered effect. And there's my stone chip. I've just peeled all the tape off, and you can see we've got a little line that runs along there. We're trying to recreate the steps. The top line, the one you see, is a lot better. Yeah, happy with that. That is a Gravitex stone chip, over paintable. We've lightly puffed it out there to blend it into the old stuff. Gonna let that go rock hard. We'll tape this up, we'll put some base coat over it, and we'll blend the lacquer out, and we'll see how it looks. But yeah, happy days. Stone chip is finally dry. We've lightly bagged up the car. Don't want to get too much overspray, but we're going to keep the pressure in the gun low. While I've been waiting for that to go off, I have done the front brake hoses, and they don't look too bad, but they had a couple of cracks in. Obviously, when you try to undo brake hoses, you have to undo the brake pipe. Well, VAG motors, they put a rubbery texture around the outside of the pipes, and most of the pipes just snap off. So then, of course, I have had to fix all new solid lines in there. 3 out of 4 that I undone snapped. Luckily on the passenger side they didn't, so happy days. All new brake hoses, happy days. New brake lines, all new fresh fluid. Finally, the brakes are all done. Let's get some blue paint on this. Gonna let that flash off, got the spider out, couple more coats on there, darken it up, go into about here with a base coat, and then I'm gonna go to there with the lacquer and fade it out. But that is looking good. Let's let that flash off. 3 coats of base coat, darkened up, happy with the colour. I'm just gonna puff a bit of lacquer on, let that flash off for 10-15 minutes, and then a nice heavy coat, and I will end about here. My Scotch stops here. I'm gonna end about an inch further forward than the Scotch. That'll then puff out. Then when that dries off, you polish over the dry mark and it'll all blend in. Anyway, let's get some shine on it. Oh yeah, let that flash off. And we are there. We are finally done with this one. MOT retest, clean bill of health, 19 years old, no advisories. Just like the Caddy, 18 years old, no advisories on that. Just how we like it. The brake hoses and the brake lines were a bit long in the tooth, but we got there in the end and super happy with them. Sill, the sill come out really nice. While it was on the ramp, I did put some zinc primer down in that hole where the cap was missing, squirted a load of primer in there, that went off nicely. Then got some cavity wax, went in through the hole and just, that's not going to rust again anytime soon. We're confident in that. And yeah, it's really nice. It's actually raining outside, so we're doing this shot from just inside the workshop. And let's have a butcher's. Happy with the colour, happy with the finish. The original line of the stone chip, I haven't been able to recreate it perfectly, but in the words of my all-time favourite YouTuber, Derek from Vice Grip Garage, that is good enough for the girls we date. And looking very good in this shot. Little bit of sun trying to break through with the rain, very nice. Anyway, T5 Transporter, that is coming next. Reason I haven't started, I'm pulling the engine out. I want to get the van in, take the engine out, see what's wrong with the old engine, convert the PD130 to fit in and do it all in the same hit. Rather than take the engine out, then have to push the van around. We're doing it all in one hit. Ordered the engine 2 weeks ago. Meant to be coming on Monday or Tuesday, so I will get straight on with that. There'll be a couple of episodes on the T5 Transporter, then there'll be 1 or 2 on the Golf. We're going to give that away to someone and we can get cracking. Hopefully, the sun starts to make an appearance. It is the 1st of April today, and yeah, we're getting closer to the sunshine. And just while I notice, that is my old Honda. Nice little car, sold it to a customer. And there's sort of one bit on it that stands out to say that it was my old car. Black wheels, black wheels. Oh, more black wheels. Yeah, like a bit of black wheelage. Always makes a standard car look a tiny bit pimped, just with black wheels. Anyway, we're finally done on the Golf. I did get a couple of comments from you subscribers about being interested in the Golf. One of them, can't remember his name, Steve I think it was. He had a 22 plate T6 Transporter and he had a load of old parts, suspension parts and stuff like that. He's put lowering shocks and springs. I want to put slightly lowering springs, but we can still use the shocks. He said we can have a deal, so hopefully he gets in touch. What I'll do, I'll let this video sit for a couple of days, and if I get no more interest, I'll stick it on the internet. I'll put the eBay link in a post up on here, and yeah, hopefully someone makes good use of it. This is the final time you'll be seeing the Golf on the channel. Be sad to see it go, but can't keep them all, right? Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, click the thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.